non-kinetic related operations, peace operations, evacuation, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, those types of things. As you can see, that we have participated in several of these over the years. The biggest one for us that will continue is Tempest Express 13, the pandemic influenza, better known as the bird flu. Next slide. Very good. I'm sorry, you got it. In PACOM, pandemic influenza is a huge issue, as you can imagine, with the Hawaiian Islands. The 351st is responsible for setting up the Pacific Crisis Coordination Center, which is responsible for coordinating the interagency peace if the bird flu or pandemic influenza were to hit the islands. NORTHCOM, in fact, is the command that has responsibility for worldwide synchronization of that mission. However, we are responsible, the primary lead element for PACOM and the Hawaiian Islands for that. Next slide. While the PACOM requirements are expanding with the Asian nations, there are obviously competition now for the support. As been mentioned several times, we have the MCAG now, the Maritime Civil Affairs Group. You have the CAGs, and of course you have CA, the National Economic Civil Affairs folks. I don't view that as competition. In fact, what I would like to see us do is as has already been discussed, I do think personally as well that the time has come for a joint CA command so that we can coordinate the missions between the various forces that have CA responsibility. I would like to see that. I'm not sure whether we'll see it in our time, but with the MCAG and the CAG responsible for similar missions as we, it's important for us to avoid the redundancy of those forces so that they are so small, the CA force is so small, we can ill afford not to use our forces in a much more efficient manner. And in order to do that, and in order to coordinate among the many missions that we've got out there, I think you need a joint command of some sort. That's my personal opinion. Next slide. As I said earlier, we're getting ready to mobilize. Just to give you some idea of where we are, and all of the KCOMs are in a similar boat, but just so you have some idea. I have the largest KCOM. Jeff pointed out I think he has the smallest. I have 2 brigade headquarters, and I have 9 battalions right now, and then the command. Of that, I have 1,731 people assigned to me. Of that, right now, I have 300 people deployed in the box. I have 150 that are non-deployable. I have 579 available, deployable, non-38s. 579. I have 702 38s. That's qualified people. I have 92 38s with grade issues. And what I mean by that is the 06s and 05s. And more, as far as going into theater is concerned, no offense, ladies and gentlemen, but they don't really want a lot of 06s running around. And they definitely don't want any 07s running around. And Guy would be happy to talk to you in ear off about that. What that means is that I have 610 people available right now. I have the largest. Remember, I have the largest KCOM. I have 610 people available. On the next rotation, I owe General Morris 1,627 people. Of that, 788 are CA qualified, or required CA qualified. I have 610. So I'm already short 178 packs. This is a common thing, not only for my KCON, but the rest, and I'm sure that General Blackledge and General Sands can attest to that. There just isn't enough people to go around. So what that does is that, again, we need to look at the MCAGs, we need to look at the CAGs, we need to look at, and those folks are already deployed as well. The CAGs are probably beat up worse than we are. It's important that we have some centralized command that has the ability to I think, fight the fight, as it were, and get away from this issue of we have to send 1,100 or 1,500 packs, and that's it. Regardless of whether or not we could do it with 1,000 or whether we could do it with 800, the bottom line is that the theater still requires us to provide them a specific number. As long as they continue to do that, then we're broke. And what you have is we have great soldiers that are coming out of the IR for the most part. We have the Blue to Green program. We have all these programs that are filling the slots that if it was left to us and we could provide the capabilities and the capacities that we felt could meet the mission, we probably wouldn't be in we wouldn't have the problems that we have now. That said, it's a fact of life that for civil affairs forces for however long the next rotations go on. And we're not just talking Iraq and Afghanistan, of course, get the bulk of the news. But you've also got GWAT-P, which is the Philippines. For those of you who don't know, we are fighting a war in the Philippines. The 95th has folks, we provided folks, that is a combat area. And we have HOA. HOA started out as a relatively large operation. It was cut back, and now it's starting to build back up. And so we have, and those are the four main places. We still have other locations in the world that we're sending folks. The bottom line is that it's difficult to continue to send these folks in harm's way, trying to train them without some kind of command structure that has the authority to decide what that force should be versus just numbers alone. Obviously, because of the problems that we have with the numbers, what's going to happen is that even though we are under USARC, and USARC looks at 14 days or maybe now 29 days of AT, many of our folks will, in fact, because of the training requirements, serve as many as 30 to 60 days of active duty in order to still meet the mission requirements that we have to meet. That's my soapbox. I'll turn it over to General Blackledge.